Do home inspectors know what they're talking about when they get up on the roof and they're telling a homeowner?
That is a totally legitimate question, and no disrespect to home inspectors. There are really good ones out there, and then there are, like in every profession, then there are some that, shall we say, could use a little more tutelage.
And this is our Ask the Expert series that we're going to do with real estate. Now, Karsten has been a realtor since what? Since
God created dirt is the joke. But I think I'm going on year 43, Tracy.
And so Karsten is like one of the uppity ups with Keller Williams Client's Choice. Is that right?
Yeah, Keller Williams Client's Choice.
I want to actually just turn it over to Karsten right now and let him give the 30-second synopsis of who he is, what he does, and why he does it.
All right. Well, Tracy, it's a pleasure to be with you. And I'm Karsten Musaeus. I had the Karsten team at Keller Williams Realty. I've been with Keller Williams now about 21 years. Prior to that, Remax, et cetera, et cetera. I've been a broker for about 43 years now, which doesn't mean I know everything, but I have a few scars that give me at least, and some gray hair that gives me at least a perspective on talking about some of the subjects we want to talk about today. And this happens to be, we're going to talk about roofing. So Tracy, lead away, and let's see where this takes us.
Yeah, so the whole point of this is, our Ask an Expert video series is to really kind of give a different perspective from somebody in a different industry that has to deal with roofers and has to deal with roofing situations and has to deal with the problems that arise with all of those. We want to give people a perspective. So homeowners, we want to give you a perspective, but also this information may actually become really beneficial for other realtors, maybe those that aren't as seasoned and as experienced as Karsten is. You're going to run into situations with roofs on transactions that you're working on. You may not have any clue how to deal with it. And if you don't, you could end up probably in some pretty serious trouble. So that's what we want to talk about. And so I've got a list of questions that I've sent to Karsten. Sure. And let's start running through those. Let me ask you a leading question then because of that.
Sure.
Because, Homestead Roofing, we do a lot of work for real estate transactions.
Yes, you do.
We see a lot of buyer's inspection reports come across our desk. I just got one today that actually made me laugh. So here's my leading question. Do home inspectors know what they're talking about when they get up on the roof and they're telling a homeowner?
That is a totally legitimate question, and no disrespect to home inspectors. There are really good ones out there, and then there are, like in every profession, then there are some that, shall we say, could use a little more tutelage, which is a nice way of saying they don't always get it right, and they can sometimes screw up a transaction because they're trying to be so refined in what they're saying, only it turns out that perhaps their accuracy begs the question. So let's just take that. Hopefully the inspectors of the world who see this realize that I'm respectful of their need, but to be in a transaction. But having said that, let's say we actually had a problem, okay? I get that information as the buyer's agent. The buyer obviously gets that too. We talk it over. We write up something called an inspection objection report, which says, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, as the case may be, we want you to replace the roof or repair it, and or if it is not a problem, then have a licensed, local licensed, bonded, insured pro roofer get up there, take pictures, write a report and say, you know what? There's no problem with this roof, and oh, by the way, I'm willing to put that in print, and I'll back it that there's no problem with this roof. Because if that isn't done, that could mess up the transaction, both in terms of the buyer going, I'm not comfortable because I'm not going to take just anybody's word. I need to know it's somebody I can trust. And number two, what about an insurance company that wants to insure the house for the purchase? If they have any inkling that this roof is a problem, we have problems, and that can blow up a transaction. So this sets this whole thing in motion, Tracy, as you know. And so one way or the other, we have to have a pro up on the roof looking at it and giving their professional advice. Now, wouldn't it be wonderful if there was no problem? But in most of the inspections I've seen, the inspector feels obliged to point out anything that could be a problem. Their job isn't to prove it, it's to point it out at the start and say, get somebody in that field who's a pro that everybody can trust.
Yeah, that's a great point. Man, I'm so glad that you brought that up because, I mean, transactions that we've worked on with you and with other realtors, that's happened, right? The home inspector gets up there and he sees something that he thinks is hail damage. And he's not a roofing contractor, right? He's a home inspector. And maybe last month, maybe he was delivering pizzas, who knows, right? And so he gets up there and he says, well, you got hail damage up there. So that trickles down through the buying agent, through the buyers, to the inspection objection or to
it creates a major ripple effect. Let's put it that way.
And we've seen in those reports where the home inspector said, we recommend that the homeowners file an insurance claim to get this taken care of. Okay, boom, there's where the hammer drops, right, Karsten? The home inspector says, we recommend you file a claim. What do you tell your client to do? You're the listing agent.
Now I'm on the listing side.
Yes.
All right. My first words of advice is do not call your insurance company first. Get a professional out there who's local, bonded, licensed, insured to get up on the roof and look at it, and with no holds barred, not going whispering in their ear, hey, make it the way I want it to be, which a good roofer would never do that anyway. I mean, you would never do that. You'd go, hey, I'm here to tell the whole truth and nothing but. I know you. So we want somebody like you up there, if I'm representing the seller, so that we can know for sure if we have a problem. In order for this house to get sold and everybody to be a happy camper, if there's a problem, doesn't do anybody any good to deny, delay, distract, on the subject. Let's face it, that's why we have insurance. If we have you up there first and you can give some assurance, I'm the listing agent now, and with my clients, the sellers, and you go, listen, there really is a problem. You guys have a legitimate claim. That actually, while it's, oh, that's unfortunate, that's a sigh of relief because we have a pro already behind us right now who can stand up to whatever insurance company is coming there and say, to quote a very old phrase from I Love Lucy, which is dating me, Lucy, we have a problem. And when I've got that, that is golden to me representing my client.
Let's talk about a real world example that we had, you and I. This would have been back in 2013, 2014, if I remember correctly. Yeah. And it was on a house kind of on that north slope of Pulpit Rock area.
Yeah, I remember that.
And it was the exact same thing that we're talking about right now. A home inspector got up there and found what he thought was storm damage and actually put in his report that the homeowners had storm damage and that they should file an insurance claim. So they did. The adjuster came out there and rightly said, there is no storm damage on this roof. We're not paying for anything for this roof. So that put a big kink in your transaction.
Yeah, it did.
Because now what happens? Now the buyers are afraid of buying this roof because there's something happening on the roof.
Right.
But the insurance company won't take care of it. Well, so it wasn't storm damage. It was actually, what we call thermal cracking, thermal problems.
It had worn out.
It was just worn out. That's all that it was. So your client, the home seller, had to pay out of pocket to replace the roof.
And here's an insight about that. Because if my client hadn't done that and said, let's say, took a bad attitude. To heck with you guys, I'll sell it to somebody else. Do you think for 1 minute the same issue isn't going to arise?
Yeah.
Because the next
right.
inspector is rightly going to go up there and go, Lucy, we got a problem here.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
but here's the bigger problem for your client in that situation. Okay, yeah, he needed to take care of the roof to sell the house. We all know that, right? But the fact that he filed an insurance claim, there wasn't any damage, meant that now he's got an actual claim on his record called a claim without pay. That still counts against him. So because a home inspector told not even his home inspector, the home inspector for the buyers told him to file an insurance claim, and he did. He didn't have insurable damage, so he ends up with a claim with no benefit.
So let me go back on that, because this was like crystal clear. It was one of our fun times, wasn't it? Anyway, for those of you watching, if you're a consumer or if you're a realtor, there is an order to this that makes rational sense. You do not want to go filing a claim. The sad news is, if you file a claim, it's held against you even if it doesn't work out, which seems unfair, admittedly. But regardless, the order would be, get somebody up there who's a pro who can look at it and go, no, this is not the result of hail damage or anything else. This is just an old roof and it is worn out. And either your insurance will cover something related to that or not, but don't you go filing the claim until you at least have had kind of just a basic little conversation to start with your insurance agent about that, because otherwise, not only will you get turned down, but now it's held against you like a black mark against your insurance standing.
Yep.
So that seems unfair. I know it does, folks, but that's how it plays out.
Hey everybody, I hope this has been helpful for you. Remember, this is just video number 1 in a series that we did with Karsten, because we've got so much information about roofing and real estate transactions that we couldn't fit it all in one nice, concise video. So this is actually going to be the first part of a multi-part series where we're talking on our Ask an Expert video. But in the meantime, if you've got any questions about this particular video, about this particular topic, please feel free to give us a call right up here. Our office phone number, 719-433-6991. You can also visit our website. As always, that's right down here, homesteadroofingcolorado.com. We've got a ton of information out there, lots of other videos with lots of educational information. If you like this video, please consider giving us the big thumbs up. We'd love to see that. Also, subscribe to our channel, click the bell icon up there so that way you get notified when we've got new videos. But if you've got questions and you want those answered publicly, feel free to leave those in the comments section down below. We read and respond to all questions that we get on our videos. Now, be sure to check in on our next Ask an Expert video, because we're going to pick right back up with Karsten, continuing to talk about roofing and real estate transactions. Again, if you're a homeowner, if you're a real estate agent, it's going to be information that you're going to want to have. So until that next video, I'm Tracy Bookman, owner of Homestead Roofing.